Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Ask the Expert, a daily series run by QuickBooks from 8:30 to 9 a.m. to help small businesses. You can ask any questions in the comments, or you can use the hashtag QBATE for QuickBooks Ask the Expert on Twitter. So that's hashtag QBATE. If you need any more advice, you can join the official Intuit QuickBooks SMB community group on Facebook, where accountants and business experts are on hand 24/7 to help you and answer all of your questions. So during the live session today, we're going to be running a poll, so please do engage with it and I will reveal the results at the end. So as I said at the beginning, my name's Rachel and I am the founder of a company called Accountancy. And we are a female-led company, a female-led accountancy firm that specialise in working with female business owners, influencers, and entrepreneurs. So a little bit more about the company. So we specialise in working with female entrepreneurs, business owners, and influencers. And in the UK at the moment, 1 in 3 entrepreneurs are female. However, in the last 12 months, women made up 60% of the newly self-employed category. So across the globe, the share of women among small business owners has reached nearly 40%, and that's up from just 4.6% in 1972. So it's an industry that's growing really, really rapidly, and women are being more represented than ever in the self-employed area. So from there, we can almost split the fact that women aren't evenly represented in business into 2 separate parts. The first part is the reasons that actually stop women from starting their own businesses. And the second part is actually ensuring that the wider outlook of women in business changes and that the whole nation, not just women, understand that there are key benefits of having women in business on a micro and macroeconomic level. So if we speak firstly about the reasons why more women aren't becoming business owners, Forbes recently conducted interviews and studies into the difficulties that women face when starting a business. And those women actually cited lack of business guidance, imposter syndrome, and access to funding or finance as limiting factors. And that's where Accountancy was born. So Accountancy was founded with the goal of being able to actually take those individual points and provide female business owners with either solutions to those problems or support. So if we take the first one, which is lack of funding or finance, at the moment in the UK, only 7% of private equity and venture capital is invested in female-led businesses. And statistically, female-led businesses will receive only 65% of the funding that male-led businesses would receive. So sat in front of a bank, same seat, same company, just female to male-led, the female-led business would receive 65% of the funding that a male-led business would get. The reasons cited in research when people look into this are gender bias during the investment process, incorrect assumptions made by investors about female-led businesses, and that there are actually fewer women in positions of seniority at influential firms. So here at Accountancy, we empower women to thrive and not just survive in their business. We educate them about self-funding business models and methods. So actually how to avoid going to a bank completely, how to naturally and organically raise the capital from within your company. And then we are an official accountant partner of Starling Bank. Starling, again, is a female-led company. And their founder, Anne Bowden, was the first female founder of a British bank, and they are committed to their Women in Finance charter. So we will never, ever put a client in front of a bank, any bank that isn't committed to the Women in Finance charter. So just moving on to the second reason cited by female business owners about the barriers to entry. The second one is business guidance. And Accountancy's response to that is really to educate women about their business. So as part of that, I'm currently studying towards an MBA, so it's a master's in business, and that's really empowering me and helping me to apply and teach the modules covered on my MBA and to coach my clients through their businesses. The second thing that we do is that we provide free software training to all clients to ensure that a knowledge gap is no longer a barrier to entry. So for every single client that we take on, we do 1 full hour of training. Any client can spend that however they like. We can spend that hour running through tax forecasting, software training, however they want to spend that hour, we'll spend that completely free of charge, one-to-one devoted accountant client time. So we're really trying to empower our clients to take control of their finances. And the final reason listed on that Forbes study was imposter syndrome. So if you've ever felt like you don't belong, or like your friends or your colleagues are going to discover that you're a fraud and that you don't actually deserve your job or your accomplishments, firstly, you're not alone. And secondly, that's imposter syndrome. So the technical definition of imposter syndrome is the idea that you've only succeeded due to luck and not because of your talent or your qualifications. So as part of this, accountancy's response is that I work really, really closely with all clients to try and help them rationalize these thoughts and to have open conversations about identifying those feelings and working together to really recognize their achievements in a more positive way. And as a fellow business owner, I completely understand imposter syndrome is there, and it's real for all people, not just women, but specifically female business owners. It's a real feeling. So to be able to go through that process with business owners, I think is a real privilege. So yeah, like I said, I specialize in working with women in business and influencers. So just to chat really quickly about the work that I do with influencers, it's a nice little segue into my book. So the tax guide for influencers is dropping live this Friday on the 23rd of October, and you can actually pre-order it now. So I've created an all-in-one resource for anybody who generates income from their online presence. It covers everything from what counts as income, the law around declaring paid posts on social media. We cover what counts as an allowable expense to reduce your profit and then reduce your tax, including how to reclaim the cost of the book as an allowable expense. And then we run through a step-by-step guide running through how to actually complete and file your tax return. So again, I mentioned before that business guidance is a top factor in women not starting their own business. And I work with a lot of influencers and women who generate income from online activity on all sorts of platforms, who really need the guidance of an accountant, but they're either not quite at the point where they can afford an accountant, or they would actually quite like to keep everything in-house until they actually need to outsource that requirement. So the book is a tax guide, so it talks you through everything from allowable expenses, and it just covers all bases. So just as part of my introduction, I really did want to mention that as a company, we support Women's Aid. Again, a lot of the work that I do in business is with women, and so it completely felt so natural to partner with Women's Aid. It's a charity that's very, very close to my heart, and Women's Aid help women and children to escape abuse and to actually recover. Women's Aid have a live chat which connects survivors to expert support workers, and their Survivors Forum brings together a community of women who stand together. They campaign for sustainable funding and to bring about life-changing changes in policies and law, and Women's Aid will exist as a charity until women and children are safe. So that's a bit about me. That's a bit about accountancy. So I'm going to move on in a second and start answering some questions from you guys. Okay, so the first question is, okay, so the first question is from Raphael on Facebook Messenger. Thank you for your question, Raphael. And they have asked, I have a small hardware shop and business has slowly picked up in the last few weeks, which is great. I had taken out a bounce back loan for contingency and I'm already feeling the burden of paying back. Has the government made any announcements which make it easier to pay back? So the quick answer, Raphael, is yes. So initially, the bounce back loans were repayable over a period of 6 years, and last month, the government announced an extension to that, so you can actually extend your repayments from 6 years across 10 years. So The government say that it will nearly halve your repayments. Obviously, the interest will also span across that whole period. But yes, so the repayments have been extended from 6 years to 10 years, which is great news for people like yourself, Raphael, especially now we seem to be going back into more uncertain times. If you did want to extend that just to give yourself a little bit of a breather, I would definitely recommend getting involved with that. So the next question has come from Tabitha, and that came via Twitter. So thank you, Tabitha. She said, "Good morning, Rachel. What is your advice for young female entrepreneurs to overcome self-doubt?" Amazing question, Tabitha. So the official answer would really to find someone to like hold your hand through the process. And I don't know if anyone's like me, but there's a lot of Instagram seems very, very saturated with business coaches and like people who tell you that they've got all the answers. And actually, I'm not sure anyone has the answers, firstly. And secondly, I would encourage you to find somebody like an accountant who understands the situation that you're in, can help you on a practical level, so with your accounts, but then also becomes your peer. Like I have so many clients that I would now consider my friends, and because actually at the end of the day, we are all female business owners, we are all experiencing this global pandemic, and actually if I can help them during this time, then that's just an added bonus. So I think to overcome self-doubt, really building a support network of people around you that understand what you're going through. Like some family and friends might not understand what it is that you're doing. They might really support you, but to actually have an understanding of what it's like and what you're going through, you really need people who are in the same boat and truly understand. So I would definitely say that specifically with an accountancy hat on, that 100% is the biggest added value that we can give. Like I'm not just an accountant, I am also a fellow business owner. I completely understand what you're going through. And actually, if you just need someone to pick the phone up to and say, I don't know what I'm doing, that's me. So we're all in the same boat. So I would definitely encourage you to build a support network around you of people that you know, people that you trust, and people that are cheering you on. So I hope that answers your question. So we've had a message come through from Susan from Instagram. And Susan has said, "Hi Rachel, I'm a self-employed video artist and want to understand the extension of the SEISS scheme. Till when does the extension last and what are the amounts that one can claim under it?" So great question, Susan. So before the announcement last month, there had been 2 claims for the SEISS grant. The announcement last month basically announced that there were going to be 2 more claims, two more quarters that people could claim for. The first one runs up to December, so it's October, November, December. That claim is going to be for 20% of your tradable profits that were submitted in your last tax return. They have announced that there's going to be a 4th quarter that you can claim for that will run from January through to March 2021, but they've not yet announced the amounts and like the percentage of how much you'll be able to claim. So I really do hope that helps. If it doesn't, please do get in touch with us and we can sort of talk you through that process. But again, in terms of if you have claimed before, the process of claiming and the actual going online, logging in, working out how to do it, none of that has changed. So if you've done it before, it's very straightforward and you can absolutely do it again in the same way. So the next question has come from Facebook Messenger and it's come from Larissa. "Hi Rachel, I'm a marketing consultant with 8 years of experience. I had taken a break from work to raise my first child. I'm planning to get back to work and look for new clients, but finding it difficult. Most of my clients had moved on to other consultants or firms, and it almost feels like a new start. Any tips to get me back in the game?" Great question, Larissa. So I think there's a couple of things here. I think firstly, see this as a brand new opportunity. Don't see it as a terrifying starting from scratch. This is a new opportunity. You're coming to the same industry that you know and understand with a fresh perspective. So that's the first thing. This is a positive situation, and go into it with a really, really positive outlook. You understand the market, you understand the industry, you've got 8 years of growth during that time, and you can now apply that to where you were before. So that's the first thing. The second thing is maybe explore things that didn't exist when you were doing this 8 years ago. So platforms like Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, you may not have been using them before. And then the third thing I would say, again, not even just in the last 8 years, but in the last 6 months, a lot has changed in terms of where people are getting their clients from. So if there was going to be one positive from the COVID pandemic, I would say that the barriers to entry have dropped in terms of location. So whereas people might want to meet a marketing consultant face to face and chat to them about their business, actually COVID means that people have become less focused on location and more focused on quality and service. So that A is a positive because that means that you're no longer bound by location where you were before. And the second thing that is actually, if you are driven by service and quality, you will have absolutely no problems. And this has just opened the doors onto who your prospective clients are. So Larissa, I hope that answers your question. Again, if it doesn't, please get in touch on Instagram. I would love to chat with you because this sounds really, really interesting and very up my street. So the next question is from Aneta. I hope I pronounced that right. Sorry if I haven't, on Instagram DMs. And she said, "Good morning. How important is building a personal brand and has it helped your business?" Great question. Absolutely vital. So for me specifically as an accountant, there's definitely in the UK a bit of a stigma around being an accountant and a very strong stereotype of what an accountant should be. That's normally falls into the category of a stale pale male. People think an accountant is that. And actually, in order to break that barrier and to be visible on social media, to be building a personal brand, has just absolutely helped me push through the stereotype firstly, and secondly, as a sales funnel, the top part of any sales funnel is awareness. So customers will go through awareness and then engaging and then actually becoming a client. So in order to build a personal brand, to have an Instagram platform where people already have an awareness of you, they know what you're doing, they're following you along, actually having that platform on Instagram, you've already moved through the first point in a sales funnel. So in order to have the platform of Instagram and to have lots of followers, even if you think they're passive followers, you're planting seeds in people and they're telling people about the work that you're doing. They're telling people that they know this cool accountant that wears pink and she's not a stale pale male. To have a personal brand, people have already broken through the first barrier when it comes to gaining clients. So even if you think your industry doesn't belong on Instagram, like I did, absolutely not the case. I think building a professional platform, building a personal brand is vital. And in case this answer hasn't answered the question, yes, it has helped my business. So Ivan from Facebook Messenger has asked, how has lockdown affected the business and brand collaboration opportunities for influencers? And what is the advice you are giving to your clients to get through the tough times? Great question, Ivan. So I think in terms of business opportunities for brand collaborations with influencers, I don't think COVID has impacted things too much. There's a lot to this question. So the first thing is that a lot of brand collaborations happen remotely anyway. Influencers all worked from home or worked from not an office anyway. So in terms of actually how the pandemic has affected influencers, in terms of the way they run their business, it hasn't impacted it at all. But again, anybody who uses social media and follows at least one influencer, you will know that a really big part of their content is being out and about, being in restaurants, like helping small businesses. A lot of small businesses really, really love engaging with influencers to drive traffic to their pub, their restaurant, their cafe. So in one aspect, from the back end of influencing, the actual office side of things hasn't changed, but their backdrop and the way they influence and create content really, really has. So I don't think we've not seen a drop in brand collaborations. If anything, we've seen an increase where companies have pivoted and are actually massively investing heavily in marketing. Again, people are at home, people are spending more time on their phones. So one of the biggest expenditures for a lot of company is marketing, and they're actually choosing where they might not have before to invest that money into social media collaborations, because they're not investing it in bus stop adverts because no one's using public transport. So I'd say from an influencer's point of view, we've almost seen more traffic, which has been amazing. Again, in terms of what advice am I giving to clients to get through the tough times, focusing specifically with influencers. The majority of influencers are self-employed, so there's been lots of grants and lots of loans that they're eligible for. And for us, it's just about being a trusted business advisor, being there to answer the phone. I get voice notes at 10 p.m. when someone's on their QuickBooks and is trying to do a bank rec, and just really, really being proactive, consistently offering the service, and just being their friend, actually, at the end of the day has been very, very important, because this pandemic has been very, very lonely for a lot of people. So Bailey from Instagram has asked, "Hey Rachel, I have a side hustle of t-shirt designs." Hey Bailey. And other apparel, and sell my merchandise on Etsy and through Shopify. My day job is taking less of my time these days, and I want to focus on expanding the side hustle. Any tips for growing? I only use social media for marketing currently. Amazing question, Bailey, but a very long answered question, so I'll try and keep it quite short. So I would love to find out more about what it is that you're doing at the moment. What do you just use social media as in like you just post on social media, or are you really, really engaging, trying to build your outreach, doing like fun things on your social media? I would say before you try and really, really invest time or money into an alternative platform, I would definitely ask the customer base that you already have, whether that's on Instagram or Facebook, just run some really quick polls on your Instagram. So like ask your clients why they follow you, what content they like, what they'd like to see more of, and then maybe just try that for a couple of weeks. Really take what they've said, hear them, apply that for a couple of weeks and see if that grows any traction. One of the biggest things as well is that sometimes people get so focused on like growing the business and getting new customers. It's actually really easy to forget that you already have a base of people who have either already bought from you or already follow you. So something that's really interesting that a lot of people have never done before is actually to ask their customers to refer people to them. So us as an accountancy firm, we absolutely love building our network. So any client that we take on, we have a really big document that basically tells every new client, these are all of our other clients and these are all of the other industries that they work in. So if you ever need a connection, let us know, we'll introduce you. So we recently took on a lady that sells pottery on Etsy, and we also have a gentleman who runs a wholesale pottery supply shop. So we've now put them in touch, and they are now working with each other as a supplier and customer relationship. So actually ask your existing network if they would refer work to you, because it's really nice. It makes your customers feel involved. But yeah, so use the customers that you already have, use the network that you've already got to get more information, and ask for referrals, because sometimes people are a bit afraid to ask, and actually your customers like you, they've bought from you for a reason. So asking them for help, especially in this climate, there's a massive drive for shopping locally and supporting local businesses. So I'm sure your clients would have absolutely no problem in referring more work to you. Michaela from the Instagram polls has asked, what is the most exciting aspect of working with influencers? Good question, Michaela. There's definitely like an element of it's a really cool job. And actually, as an accountant, and again, like I said, there's definitely a stereotype around accountancy and what that is. To specialize in working with influencers, I would definitely say is moving me to the slightly cooler side of accountancy, if that exists. So there's definitely a cool aspect to it. Speaking to people that you actually follow on Instagram, on like your personal Instagram, is really interesting, and you get a bit of like a fangirl moment where it's someone who's basically Instagram famous is chatting to you about their tax return. It's super exciting, but I will say that as an accountant, and I'm sure if there's any accountants listening, they would absolutely agree with me. Being an accountant is the best job in the world. Like, every single person is so passionate about what they do, they're doing it for themselves. I'm so passionate about what I do, I'm doing it for myself. So I literally spend my entire day, whether it's influencers or business owners, dealing with and speaking with passionate people who absolutely love their job. So it's not just influencers. I think the entire industry is exciting, but yeah, being able to work with some really, really cool people is 100% the benefit. So Becca from Twitter has asked, the number of female entrepreneurs has grown in the recent past. What do you think is the main driver behind it? That's a really good question, Becca. I think there's a couple of aspects. I think people might have actually realized the true economic benefit of having women involved in business. So there's actually three main benefits to the economy involved in having women in business. So the first one is a boost in the global economy. So like if women participated equally, there would be a huge growth in the economy. It actually helps families become lifted out of poverty. So the UN have actually found that entrepreneurship is one of the main pathways for economic empowerment of women, and for equality. That in turn improves like family well-being and reduces poverty. And it also means the third benefit on a macroeconomic level is that it provides more support for social missions. So female business owners contribute larger percentages of their earnings to organizations and funds that have a positive social impact. Again, we support Women's Aid. Like, a lot of female business owners really, really feel that very heavily. And again, 38% of social impact ventures are now led by women, while there are more than twice as many men than women in conventional businesses. So I hope that answers your question, Becca. I think really we've just seen a drive, especially in the last 20 or 30 years, in really, really empowering women to not just stay at home, and maybe an introduction of it being equal maternity and paternity leave. Like, it's not just women that have to take it. There's not really severe financial impacts on a family if you do choose to have a family. But yeah, so Becca, I hope that answers your question. Becca was unfortunately the last person we have time for, but again, please do engage with me on social media. I would love to answer your questions a bit later on. So we have also got the poll results back. So thank you so much for everybody who engaged with the polls across all of the platforms. I've now got the answers here for you. So we asked you, have you prepared your business for the next 6 months? 71% of you answered yes, and 29% of you answered no. So this is really, really interesting, because I've been watching a lot of these QuickBooks lives, and a lot of people say no, like it's normally 100% no. So this is amazing. I'm so glad 71% of you said yes. To those of you that said no, the 29% of you that said no, the things that you can do to help to plan for your business in the next 6 months. From a purely finance perspective, I would definitely encourage you to speak to your accountant about cash forecasting, tax planning, how to utilize the most out of the grants and the loans that are available to you. Again, things are becoming a bit more uncertain than we might have thought previously. So really, really do use this as a chance to engage with your accountant, pick up the phone, send them a voice note or a video, which is what my clients do, and just chat to your accountant. So if you do have any more questions, or if you did ask a question and I wasn't able to get to it today, then please do get in touch with the QuickBooks support team or me on Instagram. So if you head to Instagram and search for accountant_she, that would be amazing. I would love to see you over on my page. So coming up on Ask the Expert tomorrow is Nana, who is the founder of Tectonic, and they are a boutique firm that helps businesses understand who their customers are and what they need. So again, today we touched on the customer funnel, the sales funnel. So Nana will be able to tell you way more about that than I can. They specialize in customer discovery, customer validation, and customer insight processes through quantitative and qualitative data. That was a mouthful. And they do that by gathering and analysing to inform business owners' strategy. So another quick reminder that if you do need any more advice, you can join the official Intuit QuickBooks SMB community group on Facebook, where there are accountants and business experts on hand 24/7. So I really, really enjoyed answering your questions this morning. Thank you for spending the first half an hour of your entire week with me. Have a great day. It's been an absolute pleasure.